Hi guys, or whoever's watching this video, whether or not it's just personal things or if it's for anybody in particular that finds this video interesting or helpful in some way, that'll be great for me. That'll make me feel good, because that's kind of what I'm hoping for with this video. This is the third time I've actually recorded this video on my phone. Primarily because there was I was trying to do it as a kind of journal slash vlog, or vlog, I guess, sorry, or as a personal thing, but I decided after the second video to do it again for those that need it, that are interested in watching a video like this. I have a mental illness. Actually, I have two mental illnesses that kind of go hand in hand. I have OCD and Social Anxiety disorder. The OCD that I have isn't germophobic OCD. It's more centered around checking things. It's more centered around having to make sure that family members are okay. It's more of checking and having to be told and assured that your family members are fine. And it's something I've had for a while, for a long time, since I was a kid, actually. For the longest time, I didn't know what it was. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't have the slightest idea. I just knew that I was alone a lot, and didn't know why I was so shy and didn't want to talk to people. I didn't have friends in school growing up. I was more of a loner in a way. And when I say I didn't have friends, it wasn't that I didn't hang out with people at school, but even to this day, don't have anybody that I do things with. I go to work, and I come home, and that's it. That's pretty much what I do. I don't go anywhere, because if I do, depending on the number of people there, depending on where it is, if it's someplace that I'm not familiar with or whatnot, I'll get a panic attack. I will freak out and get nervous and get scared, even when it's non-threatening. I've gone to the bookstore once or twice, well, not a couple more times than twice, but not frequently. I do it in intervals, and places like that, I'll get nervous, because that being scared and being judged, that that whatever book I'm looking at, people look at me like I'm dumb, or that I shouldn't be looking at that book, or I shouldn't be interested in any of these particular things. And the same holds true, like, if I go to, like, Walmart or my local stores in particular. It's the same exact thing. I'll be intimidated by what I buy, and it's not good. It's not good for me, and it makes me not want to do those things. And it ties in, and that's actually the part that I'm talking about here, is the my social anxiety disorder that goes with my OCD, because both of them go hand in hand, and it's really hard, because not a day goes by that I don't wish that I didn't have this, that I could live a normal life per se, or that I have, that there was a magic switch, like a light bulb, for example, that you could just click it and it would shut off and I'd be fine. Uh, but there isn't anything like that. Um, and for me personally, I've been on an anxiety medicine and an antidepressant. For the antidepressant I've been on for about a month or so, maybe 2 months. But the anxiety pill, I've been on that for a couple of years actually. I take the anxiety pill I take is called Klonopin, and that's what I take. Um, and it helps. It really does help with it. It doesn't cure it. It doesn't cure it at all. Same with the antidepressant. The antidepressant doesn't it. I don't have I don't have the issues of being depressed, or having the thoughts of killing myself that I've had in the past. Um, you know, but like I said, it doesn't cure it. It just helps me to cope better, to deal with things differently, and look at them in a different perspective. Um, and I've been in therapy for it. Recently, I started it. It actually started not that long ago. Actually, about 3 months ago. I was having thoughts of suicide because I didn't feel worth it. I didn't feel worthwhile because of the fact that I'm scared to leave my house. I'm scared that I'll fail at everything I do. I'm scared that I'm not perfect enough for people, my own family. I don't have any friends because of the fact that I'm too terrified to talk to people, too scared to do things. So I had thoughts of killing myself. I had thoughts of suicide, of cutting myself with a knife and slicing my wrists. And so it scared me because it was the first time that I've sunk that low in my life. It was, it was, it brought me down big time. I was crying, and I'm not a crier. I'm not, but I was crying. I was emotional often, and so I knew that I needed help. I knew that I needed to do something. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't have gotten the help that I got. I wouldn't have done these things if I didn't push myself. And so I reached out to a friend at work. He's a great guy. I've been working with him for 6 years. And he's helped me tremendously, and a great deal of gratitude goes to him for a lot of things. He listens to me. He offers his advice. He's there if I need him. Even though I don't do things with him outside of work, and him and his partner. He's my friend. He's there when I need him, and and I confided in him. I told him how I was feeling. I told him that I had thought of killing myself, and I remember him saying, that, you know, he encouraged me, saying, you know, don't give up. You're better than this. You can fight this. And where I work at, because I work at a hospital. I work at a hospital where I live at here in Louisiana. I they had a program that you can get free counseling, 6 free sessions that they covered, 6 free sessions, and he was like, do you want me to find out if that program's still available, and if so, would you want me to ask them how to go about doing it? And I said yes. I said, I want that help. And so I did. I called that number, and they found me a therapist. And I told them my information, where I worked at and stuff like that. And the first time that I talked to the therapist, made an appointment, and the whole entire time going into it, I was terrified and scared that that this guy, who I didn't even know, would judge me and think that I was crazy, because I wanted to hurt myself, because I didn't want to live anymore, that I that this kid, I say kid, but I'm actually 25 years old, but this person, has all these issues, of what, there's nothing I can do with this person. And I remember going into it so nervous and so anxious. I remember my first session so clearly, and it's kind of, I look back at it now, and it's not it. And I remember I walked in, and he came out the door, because I sat in the lobby, and he came out of the door. It was off to the side, kind of to my left, and he walks out and he said, "Hey, are you Josh?" And I was like, "Yes, I am Josh." And that sounds funny. And he says, "Okay, I got some forms for you to fill out." And I can remember the whole entire time shaking, like my hands were shaking, my body, I was drenched with sweat. My chest was, I was having a panic attack just talking to this guy. And he called me to the back, and ironically enough, this is all before I even got to the back with him. And once I got there, he sat down, and he said, we talked, and he said, everything you tell me is confidential, and then so I started talking, and after 50 minutes of talking, I felt better. I felt relieved. I felt this sense of I can't think of the word, that this great weight was lifted off of my shoulders, and and he listened. He didn't judge me because of it. He didn't, he was concerned, of course, about the suicide thoughts. He asked if I had a plan, and even now I still have those thoughts, but I don't act on them. I'm able to cope with them differently, and it's primarily because of the fact that around that same time I actually got on an antidepressant, and that for me was, when people say that they've hit rock bottom, that's rock bottom when you don't want to live anymore. And and if this video helps anybody, knowing that there is help out there, you're not alone in it. Every human being, every person in the world is not perfect, and and yes, I have a mental illness, but But just because of that doesn't mean that I'm not a regular person like everybody else. It's just that my mind thinks differently than everybody else's. And, you know, just because you want to, or just be, let me rephrase that sentence. Just because things look bad, just because they look horrible, doesn't mean that you have to kill yourself. Doesn't mean that you have to do something to hurt yourself, because you have to think about the ones around you that this will affect, because it's not just you that it affects. It affects your parents, it affects your family, your friends, your co-workers, everybody. It affects every person. And like I said, you're not alone. I say that because I've been there. I've been in that at that point, and even now, like I said, I have those moments that I still feel that way. Primarily yesterday was one of those days. You know, I just didn't. There's moments where you just don't want to. You don't want to be here. You don't want to. You want to give up. But yeah, but for me, the main reason I didn't kill myself, the main reason why I didn't do it, was a recurring thought that my mom, who I live with, would be the one that would find me on the floor. She'd be the one to find me dead or close to death. And I couldn't live with that. I couldn't live with the fact that my family and my mother, who has been there for me for years, would find her son sitting on the floor with his hands cut open, with, and what that would do to her, knowing that I had get stooped that low. Or even my coworker, who I confided in, how he would feel about it if I didn't confide in him, and as I said before, I having OCD and social anxiety disorder doesn't define me. It doesn't define anything about me. However, it hinders me from being a person that I want to be. Because there's days that I want to be sociable. I want to go places and not be scared. Go to a concert, for example, or go to a bookstore or Walmart and not panic because I'm being judged. Or a day doesn't go by that I don't wish that I couldn't go to bed without checking the door 3 or 4 times, or having to apologize to people numerous times because I'm so obsessed with that thought that I've done something wrong, or worrying over my family's health and worrying about them dying or something bad happening to them. Those are things that I wish that I could do without, I could live without. But because I seeked help, because I reached out to my friends, to my family even knows about my mental illness and my problems. They know, and they are there for me. They understand it. Well, they may not understand it, but they know that when I get up and I have to and I check that door before I go to bed, or while we're sitting down watching TV, that it's not that I want to do it. It's the fact that I need to do it, or that if I'm driving down the road and there's an ambulance heading in the direction of my house, that I had text my mom, say, hey, did you make it to work okay, or is everything okay with you at work? They know that I have to do that, and it gets better. It does, and I wish that there's, that I could say that, hey, yeah, I know the cure. I don't, but this video is actually like 20 minutes long already. But I wanted to make a video more or less because to share my thoughts and my experiences with suicide thoughts and with how I live with OCD and social anxiety, or SAD as it's called, and to share it on YouTube for people that want to hear it from somebody, who want to hear stories and hear from people how they deal with it. You know, and if this video helps somebody, I'm happy. That would give me the greatest joy, just knowing that you found something good from this video, or you can relate to this situation.